My name is Alan J. Hesse. I'm an educator and author-illustrator and a conservation biologist. I'm not a school teacher, but I do work with schools internationally, giving talks, workshops, and making videos. My goal is to bring climate education to as many people as possible, of all different ages, so that they can make informed decisions about sustainability, the ways they live their lives, and the decisions that they make. My initiative is to unlock the power of emotions. I do this by creating graphic novels that combine the elements of fiction storytelling with characters, heroes, villains, adventure and action and humor, with non-fiction elements all about climate change.
I see impact whenever I'm able to engage with the school directly for its students. 2 years ago, before COVID, I delivered a talk at the Montessori school near where I live, featuring a stuffed toy version of my main character, Captain Polo the polar bear. Not long after the talk, one of the kids sent me a plasticine version of Polo that he'd made. All the kids in the 2 classes I talked to instantly became his fans. Children immediately relate to Polo's messages and become attached to the character. This emotional connection paves the way for effective learning. I was able to do it even remotely because of the COVID lockdowns. It doesn't stop us from reaching out to the children and engaging emotionally with the help of Captain Polo in his stuffed toy version. In December 2020, I delivered a book reading of my Christmas story, Captain Polo and the North Pole, to the kindergarten school in Dubai called Kindergarten Starters. This school is notable for being the first in the world to have all of its staff accredited by the UN as climate change teachers. There are 5,000 students in that school, and according to the principal, who is also the head of the GEMS Climate Education Network in the Middle East, as a result of that one book reading, all the students became Polo fans. Pictures of this character now adorn their school halls alongside posters made by the students on specific aspects of climate change effects and solutions. This proves to me that Polo has the potential of fulfilling his true vocation, which is to be a messenger, a mascot for climate education and the empowerment of children to be agents of positive change.
The series of comic books that I do for climate change is called The Adventures of Captain Polo, and the evolution of the characters is an important element. I have to also constantly evolve the non-fiction content, the climate change content, especially with climate action, which is a very fast-moving field. And what was true 6 months ago may not be true today. So that's an element of evolution that is constantly present in my books. And that's why I make series rather than a single book. In my view, student empowerment comes in 3 parts. Firstly, children do need to know the reality. You can't sugarcoat what's actually happening. Children need to understand the basic science of climate change, how it's affecting the Earth's weather patterns globally and locally. Secondly, children do need to understand that there are solutions and that there are people already working on them. Part of these solutions are also adaptation. So it's important that children realize that not everybody is in the same situation as they are, whatever that might be, and that there are many people around the world and societies that are working actively to mitigate climate change, but also adapt to it. And thirdly, children do want to know about the solutions and how they can specifically become a part of that solution. So it's important to communicate how children can take part in existing initiatives, whether it's planting trees, whether it's recycling, whether it's taking care of your diet, all these things, how their families can get on board and how they can become part of the solution. I do a lot of research for my books, and part of my research involves polling, doing surveys with teachers. And I've learned this way that children in their classrooms do need to know about solutions. That's what they asked most about. They want to know how they can get involved, how they can make a difference. Another way I like to see the empowerment element is that you can stimulate children to use their natural abilities and motivate them to turn that to a higher purpose. This is what I'm doing with my comics and graphic novels. The biggest challenge for me at the moment is bringing my books into schools at scale. I'm getting around it slowly by things like workshops and giving talks, and also importantly building relationships in social media with individual teachers and following them, and that is proving quite successful. So it's going to take a long time, but it's certainly the way to go. In technical terms, a challenge I always have is how to combine the fiction with the non-fiction. How to make a story interesting to read. Kids have got to want to pick it up. They've got to want to see what's on the next page. So I combine these elements of adventure, humor, action with the climate change content. And that makes for a very rich and enriching read, which fills the children with all kinds of inspiration and allows them to learn a lot about the climate change crisis in the world as well. My advice to other educators willing to approach the subject of climate change is to stay abreast of current thinking. This is a very fast-moving field. As I said before, what's true today wasn't necessarily true 6 months ago. Concepts change, terminology evolves. You've got to stay abreast of the research, and a good way of doing that is to follow the relevant blogs, relevant articles, follow the relevant individuals on social media, and sign up for their newsletters. That's what I do, and it now allows you to stay abreast of current thinking. Very important. Children need clarity. So vague messages can be sometimes damaging. If you're talking about, for example, recycling, that's an important subject to teach children, but it's not necessarily or clearly related to climate change. It's more related to pollution, especially ocean pollution, and that has its effects and it has its causes, and it all links up with the climate problem, but there's not a direct relationship. So children do need that clarity. The other thing I would say is make sure you do focus on those positive messages. Children need to know what is it they can do. They don't want to know only about the problems. So those are the 3 things that I would recommend to other educators who are approaching the subject. I would love to hear from other educators and teachers about how they're approaching teaching climate change. I would especially love it if teachers became used to the idea of using comics like these as part of their teaching tools. I do believe they're a great medium to get through to children because of that emotional connection and making the story fun and entertaining.
My resources include not only the Captain Polo series of graphic novels, but also a related Christmas activity book and 2 seasonal picture books, each with their own climate messages. My character, Captain Polo, also has a blog with free resources to access, such as these climate change action cards and a climate change board game based on the books, all of which is free to download. Both myself and Captain Polo have our own YouTube channels, where there are a selection of videos focusing on different aspects of climate change. I also deliver workshops to schools on how to make your own educational comic books, and this is supported by a manual available for free download from the resources page of my website. I am constantly adding to these resources. I can be contacted through the website.
Feel free to contact me at the website that you can see here. I'm also on social media, and my email is on the screen. Thank you.